This is my review of the Rikon 13900 fence that I'm using on my Craftsman 14-inch bandsaw. It works on the BAS 350 Craftsman, or this is an older model, which is a 124.32607 model. So I got this after reviews on Amazon about the fence, and I was quite happy with it. It comes with poor instructions on it, but it's very simple to put together. It comes with this shaft. This shaft is actually a rail, and also the guide rail, and then the actual fence. And the fence just hooks onto the back, over the back rail, and then you just clamp it down. So what you can do is it comes with 2 hex bolts that holds this side on. You can use the hex keys that came with your saw, the biggest one. And then this rail is held on by 5 of these wing nuts, and it attaches underneath with the holes that are provided. You don't have to drill any holes, it fits perfectly. And then also comes with a resaw guide, which goes into the holes here. This screws through and holds it on. So I attached it onto the fence, and you can see that it has a spacer on the back here that you want to put on. So this wing nut is put far enough out so it goes past the rail. When you use a resaw guide, you want to have it before the blade. And what you do is you use this guide so when you draw a line along that you want to resaw on, and then you use this and you push the back of the piece of wood that you're resawing, and it acts as a pivot point. So you got to have it before the front of the blade so you can pivot it to follow the line. I've used it without the resaw and just used the fence, and it worked fine for me. I had just run it through the planer to true up the edges. So I didn't really have to use the fence. It was pretty true. I didn't have a lot of drift. Is the problem, is what you're compensating for is the drift of the blade. There is one problem with this fence when you're using it with a Craftsman table saw. The Rikon saw that this is cloned after, the table must be a little bit thicker, just a fraction of an inch. So these hex screws here, these Allen screws, they are just a hair above the table, and when you push a piece of wood through, it catches up on these things. So you got to bring them down. I was thinking about grinding them, but that would have messed up the hex screws. And the screws are meant for truing up the fence to the table, to make it 90 degrees to the table. Mine came with the factory already trued up. I didn't have to do anything to it. So, but anyway, you have to bring this down a fraction, but you don't want to go too far or the table's going to hang up. So what you have to do is shim underneath between the rail and the table. The problem is the rail it's not solid on the top. I'll take it apart and show you how it is. So this is the rail off, and what I did was I used washers. These are thin washers. In fact, they're the same thickness as the washers that come with the thumb screws. Actually, you could use these washers, but then you should probably have some washers that go against here so when you twist it doesn't dig into the rail. But these are a 1/16 of an inch thick, or 1.5 millimeters. So what I've done, because you don't want to be balancing these on each time you change the blade, you're going to have to take the rail off. It's one thing you have to keep in mind, that the rail is in line with this, and they're easy to take. The rail's easy to take off, but if you want, you're not going to be wanting to balance these washers on top of these each time. I also read somewhere that somebody got some thin stock, like from Home Depot or Home Center, and made a shim too, just a strip of aluminum, which he said was 1/8 of an inch thick. Problem is you don't want it too thick, or you bring the rail down too far, and then the fence will drag against the table. So I found that 1/16 of an inch works good. What I've done to make it easier, so I don't have to balance these washers on the rail, was I take acetone and wipe down the surface. I want to super glue these washers underneath. I'm using super glue from the 99-cent store. It's not the greatest, but it actually is the original super glue. But you want to take acetone or some sort of solvent to take off the oil off the table underneath where you're going to be gluing these on, because what you're going to do is glue them right over the holes, because you want to be able to make it easy to take this on and off. So what I did was if you can see there, I super glued it to the hole. So you got to make sure you get all the oil off the washer and the table. And then this super glue, you have to hold it in place for about 30 seconds to make it stick. If you don't, it just falls off. It glues your fingers together pretty well. So you got 4 holes that you have to put washers over. So I found out if you position it wrong, it's easy. You just take a screwdriver and hit it with a hammer, and these things knock off easily. I mean, they're not there permanently. Also, what I bought the Rikon, or Rikon, I don't know what they call it, T-square. It goes in the rail. And I wasn't happy with it. I sent it back. It was really sloppy. I should have taken a video of it. And and also it wasn't right. I had to send it back anyway. It was a defect in it. So what I did is I got the Hitachi one. I bought it on Amazon, and I'll put a link below to show where it is. It's long, but in the end it doesn't matter, because it has a little thing that screws on that holds it in the T slot, which is nice because when you bring it back past the tabletop, it doesn't fall out. So it works quite well, and it isn't sloppy because when you push it on, you hold it against the side anyway. And it has detents in it, which actually, so each time you hold it to like 15 degrees, it has a stop. You hear the clicks. So I'm quite happy with this, and actually it was cheaper than Rikon. And I can use it on my table saw too. I made this zero clearance insert out of 1/4-inch plexiglass. I just cut it out on the band. I used the one that comes with the saw to make a template, and I cut it out on the bandsaw, and then I ground it out on a belt sander to make it fit perfectly. And then I actually had the thickness was a little bit too much, so I had to use the belt sander also to bring the thickness down so I was level with the tabletop. Also, by drilling some holes in it, the dust is extracted. So I hope this video helps.